SBC Media.
Welcome to the iGaming Daily Podcast, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Viktor Kayed, senior journalist for SBC News. I'm joined today by Varun Sudhakar, who is the CEO of BetDex Labs, for an interview on the latest developments going on with his company. Varun, first of all, how are you doing? Lovely to have you here with us.
Yeah, I'm doing well, Victor. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm looking forward to our conversation. But before that, as always, we have a message from our sponsor, Optimove. Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution in the iGaming market, who whitewashed the competitor. For new companies wanting to hit a 6 and claim a first free month of Optimove, go to www.optimove.com/SBC to claim said month. The link will also be put in the podcast episode description below. So, Varun, again, welcome here. And can you, for those of us who don't know about BetDex Labs and who might be listening in for and hearing that name for the first time, could you give us a brief introduction of the company in your own words?
Yeah, sure. So BetDex Labs, we're a team of about 15 people. We've been in operation for a little bit over 2 years. What we've been building is primarily the BetDex Exchange, which we just officially launched last week. So the BetDeX Exchange is a sports betting exchange built on the blockchain. So if you're familiar with Betfair, it's quite similar to a Betfair. The key difference, though, in what we built with BetDeX versus some of the companies such as, say, Betfair or Matchbook is we've fully open sourced our backend and made it permissionless. And so what that means is that anyone can build their own applications on top of the backend, anyone can plug into it, anyone can put liquidity onto it. And so the easiest way to think about this is if you have Betfair, the sports betting exchange, but their API was open and free for everyone to access and to trade into. So that's what we've built. And so we launched that. We were in beta for about a year, and then we officially came out of beta last week.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations on this achievement, quite a huge one. You mentioned your 15-man strong team.
Yes.
So I have a few names here. Obviously, besides you, there is Nigel Echoes, who is the chairman of the company, and Stuart Toner, who is the chief technology officer at BetDex Labs. All of you, the other thing that you have in common between the three of you, is, besides working at BetDex Labs, is that you've also had previous roles in FanDuel. And after this venture, you actually came together, the three of you, to establish BetDex Labs. So can you give us a bit of information about what gap did you spot in the sports betting market that made you come together and start BetDex Labs?
Yeah, sure. So just to give a quick background on the other individuals. So Nigel is the chairman, as you had mentioned, of BetDex. And so he was one of the founders at FanDuel and the CEO for about 9 years. And Stuart, who is the CTO of BetDex and my other co-founder, he was actually the first engineer that we ever had at FanDuel, which now probably has thousands of engineers, right? Just by way of background. So you mentioned, yes, we all had worked together and at FanDuel, and our time had overlapped there quite a bit. And then I think all three of us left FanDuel between the times of somewhere between 2017 to 2019, depending upon which individual you're speaking about. We did a few other things before we came back together to start BetDex. For us, I think working at FanDuel taught us how massive the industry is. My estimate is probably there's over $2 trillion that is traded per year,
and growing as well,
and growing, right? Like growing it's one of the most one of the few recession-proof industries, shall I say, right? And so it's so we saw how big it is, but we also saw how poor the user experience is, right? So I think you see this in a variety of ways, but like high fees are quite standard in sports betting. Like especially if you play with the recreational book, like you can pay anywhere 5%, 10%, 15% big. And sometimes it can even get up to 40, 50% if you're betting on an accumulators. And that is really high. Compare that, like payment processing fees are 2%. I think like when you buy a stock, it's basically free, right? So there's no reason for a market that big that fees should be that high. Mm-hmm. Counterparty risk was another thing that we saw, not necessarily at FanDuel, but when we were starting to look at the market, you look at especially some of the international markets where sometimes it's hard to get your money out of the platform. Sometimes the platform just disappears with your money, especially in markets such as jurisdictions such as Asia. So that was another thing. We also saw, winners being quite discriminated against. So if you are someone who is a winning bettor, quite often you will get, and I'm sure you've heard this with some of the other hosts or individuals you probably brought on board your podcast, you will get stake limited, or in the case of an exchange, you can get premium charge. And so we saw all these problems, but the key underlying, in my mind, like the key underlying root cause of all of this is actually the liquidity fragmentation in sports betting. So even though it's such a big, massive, popular market, the liquidity is fragmented. So what do I mean by this? Let's say you go and you bet, you try to go and buy a share of Apple, whether you use Revolut or eToro or Robinhood or Bank of America, the price of Apple is going to be the same to the consumer, right? Like with very few exceptions. If you go and try to place a bet on the the Mavs basketball game, the price that you get for the Mavs, let's say you're planning on backing the Mavs, could be quite different depending upon the book you're using, right? And so that's the key problem that we wanted to solve, and so that's why we started BetDeX.
Good. A lot of problems to address. I'm sure you're keeping quite busy.
Yes, we are.
So one of your essential offerings is dealing with cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
So let's get a bit into that. That's a very relevant topic. It's been going on for quite a few years now, especially after the fall, I should say, of FTX, the crypto exchange. FTX, actually, BetDex Labs and FTX have something in common as well. FTX, to my knowledge, was a financial contributor to the BetDex idea. So can you talk us through how did the company manage to rebound from the collapse of the crypto exchange?
Yeah, so I think it's important to know, so as you mentioned, FTX was an investor in our seed round. There were a number of other investors as well. So Paradigm was actually the lead investor, Multicoin Capital, Lightspeed Ventures, et cetera. So they were called one of many investors in the round. The collapse of like FTX collapsing the fall of FTX, if you will, actually did not affect us at all from a business operations perspective. Just because FTX is a passive investor, they don't have any control or in terms of the company. But two, if you look at BetDex and the way that we operate, the way the company and the product operates, all our trades are occurring in USDC, which is a stable coin. So we weren't, having the price of the crypto going down and going up actually didn't impact the product directly because the price of what you're betting in is still the same. I think what did have an impact is probably just more the general crypto market. Probably definitely taking a beating after FTX and then obviously recently rebounding. So that has, I would say, has had an impact, but that's had an impact for every company who's in the Web3 space.
And the market in general.
Yes.
Or speaking of the crypto market, since that FTX fall, have you seen any developments in the crypto market that you consider particularly beneficial for crypto betting? Or is there anything that you think could potentially hinder the space?
Yeah, I think, so what we've seen from more of a regulation perspective is, internationally, countries and jurisdictions seem to be much more open to crypto, especially in places such as Asia. We see like serious legislation being put forward, which puts together like very good frameworks for entrepreneurs and individuals and founders who want to start crypto companies and issue tokens and things of that nature. The regulations there are well thought out. I think what we've seen, unfortunately, in the West is that's probably not the case. I think it's been quite nonsensical in nature, to be perfectly transparent with you as to how the regulations are. And in some ways, I've seen, unfortunately, it's been pushing a lot of entrepreneurs, to be honest, out of jurisdictions such as the US, or to focus their operations only on international jurisdictions if they are a crypto founder. We're starting to see that change a bit, given that it's an election year. But I would say over the last few years, it's been quite an antagonistic environment for crypto, at least in the US. Specifically with crypto betting, I think the one area where we have started to see promise kind of globally is around the payment side of things. Crypto is clearly, whether the governments like it or not, it's becoming a force, and it's becoming a vehicle and a mechanism that and an asset that individuals hold. And one of the key benefits, I think, of crypto is on the payment side, especially for high risk industries such as gambling. And so we are starting to see a lot more payment providers, like traditional payment providers, such as like the PaySafes of the world, right, are starting to accept crypto and put in place the right framework in order to do that. You're starting to see operators like even like the FanDuel, DraftKings of the world in the US, internationally, et cetera. People are starting to use crypto and accept crypto payments. So specifically as it relates to like the gambling industry, I think that's a positive achievement and something that will continue to growing forward.
Yeah, nicely put, I should say. But there is, I feel like we've talked about the crypto crash. I feel like there's still kind of a lingering worry in crypto users about the volatility of the cryptocurrencies. So when you're in the gambling industry, what is the key to improving customer trust for crypto betting firms like yourselves?
Yeah, I think it's twofold, right? So I think one is, if you are going to so one, you can go one route that we've done, right, which is all trades occur in just a stable coin, no matter what you deposit in. So if you deposit in Bitcoin, you deposit in ETH, you deposit in Sol, you deposit in Doge, we will convert that on the back end and fund your account with USDC, and that's what you bet with, right? And we chose to do that specifically because of the volatility that you just mentioned, right? We wanted to we have enough uncertainties. We want to extract that uncertainty away from our users. There are a number of other crypto companies, though, that will accept, like say Bitcoin or ETH and allow you to bet in that, which are typically more volatile currencies. I think if you are doing that, I think there's 100% a path forward for that, but just be very clear on the communications that, hey, you're betting with, not only do you have to worry about, not only do you have to worry about whether the bet goes your way or not. If it does, like the currency, the price may change, right? So I think that is very important. And I've seen a lot of companies have done good jobs of this. Like if you look at the user interface of the designs, it'll make it very clear, hey, you're betting in Bitcoin. If you want to bet in ETH, like switch to ETH, like in this. So there is good signposting there. But I think that is crucial to do. And it's and I understand why companies do it, because you want to ensure that you're giving the least friction as possible to the user to get them on board, right? So if someone has Bitcoin, you don't want to force them to necessarily convert into ETH or whatever it might be. You want to just accept what they have and allow them to bet with that.
Yeah, option. In the end of the day, it boils down to having options. But having options isn't always the safest way going forward. All right. Moving on to the licensing of BetDex Labs, you shared some exciting news with me before we started the podcast that
Yes.
you've gained a new license. Can you tell us a bit where that is and what advantages does it give you?
Yes, of course. So we have gained a license with Anjouan. Anjouan is an island in the Indian Ocean, part of the Comoro Islands. You can think of it similar to some other licenses we had where it's a global license. So this allows us to operate in a number of different international jurisdictions worldwide. And so that was a license that we got, I think it's been maybe a month and a half now. And so we hold that license along with our Irish gambling license.
And what about the UK? Do you have any prospects for the UK market?
Yeah, I think the UK market is one of the key markets for us as a company in terms of growing. We really want to get a UK GC license. It's something we've been in conversations about at a high level for a while. I think that process just takes a while, especially as a crypto betting startup in the UK. Exactly. But it is one that we want to get, and we would love to be operational in the UK in the near term.
Yeah, that's good news, but I can only say get in line. Yeah, because there's a lot. It can take some time. Yes. But it's obviously a key market for reasons that that are obvious. All right, moving on to your commercial strategy. I've noticed that there is a recurring theme with your company. You always time your major launches with global sporting events. For example, the BetDex Labs, I think, came out of beta in time for the World Cup 2022. BetDex Exchange and its tennis markets offering coincided with the start of French Open in 2023, and also you expanded to offer cricket matches in time for the Indian Premier League as well in 2023. So in what way has this strategic commercial roadmap helped BetDex Labs so far? And can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's a twofold answer. I think one, being a startup in a company going up against incumbents with millions of dollars in their advertising budget, we will try to take advantage wherever we can. And one way, in terms of putting yourself on the map, getting noticed, and having your other individuals and potential users know who you are, is doing things around major sporting events, right? I don't want to call it free PR, but it's an accelerant, if you will, right? And it helps to get our name out there. So we do actually quite intentionally choose to do major, some major announcements around major sporting events, just to help and try to get our name out there and increase our brand awareness. Second thing I think is actually internally as a company as well, and as a team, we use sporting events as internal milestones too, not just the big ones, but even smaller ones, etc. So it's just a great way to organize ourselves and organizing principles to use that as an internal milestone to ensure that development is on track and everything like that. So.
And with the upcoming Euros and Paris Olympics this summer, is my gut feeling justified that 2024 will be a big year for BetDex Labs?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. I mean, we just came out of beta, as I mentioned last week. The product is in a good place now where we are able to also accept, even though all the trades still occur in USDC and in stablecoin, one thing that we've made a big effort to doing is trying to abstract away the blockchain. So we're allowing users to deposit with fiat or with other crypto that they have on hand. We've abstracted away the concept of things like gas fees and things like that. So this is going to be, it's like go time for us. This is going to be our growth year. I would say this year as well as 2025 is really going to be about going out, telling people about who we are, what the unique benefits that we offer are, and really going out there, increasing our brand awareness and going and getting users.
Right, so there you go for all of you sports betting listeners out there that want alternative to bet with crypto rather than fiat. Go check BetDex Labs. Varun, thank you for being here. It was really nice talking to you. Any final words for the audience?
No, well, thank you for having me, Victor. It's been a pleasure. I think for the audience, if you are someone who is a price-sensitive bettor and you're someone who wants to bet with an operator where winners are truly welcome, please come and check out BetDex. You can find us at www.betdex.com. Feel free to shoot us Twitter DMs as well if you have any questions. It's probably the easiest way to get in touch. The handle is at BetDex Labs for the company, and my personal handle is svarun91. So just feel free to reach out.
Thank you for this information. All right, mate. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you, Victor.
Thank you for listening to today's iGaming Daily Podcast, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News Network or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.